Hello everyone, welcome back to Easy Education London, and today we are looking at question 3 structure. Now this is for GCSE English Language paper 1, which is being sat on Monday. So what I wanted to do is provide my top tips and also how to approach the question. So the good news is that the question is always the same every single year, so it's just literally copied and pasted. So it will always read the following. You now need to think about the whole of the source. This text is from the beginning of a novel. How has the writer structured the text to interest you as a reader? You could write about what the writer focuses your attention on at the beginning of the source, how and why the writer changes this focus as the source develops, and finally, any other structural features that interest you, and that's worth 8 marks. Now, as it's the whole of the source, you need to make sure you explore the beginning, the middle, and the end. And as you sort of analyze structure, you need to make sure you are using relevant quotes from the beginning, middle, and end. Now, what does it mean by structure? So in terms of structure, in simple terms, it's how the text is organized, the paragraph lengths, the sentence lengths, the sentence variations, and how is there a shift in focus from one idea to another. So that's absolutely crucial for you to mention and talk about. And most importantly, every paragraph that you write, paragraph 1, 2, and 3, you need to tell us how it interests the reader. How does it make it interesting for the reader? What is it that makes them interested and intrigued? Don't say avoid vague statements like it keeps the reader intrigued, it keeps the reader hooked. You need to be more specific. Why does it keep them hooked? Why does it keep them intrigued? So look at the bullet points. It reads, you could write about. Really and truly, it should be you should. So what the writer focuses your attention on at the beginning. So at the beginning of the source, on Monday, you're going to see there's a focus on one thing. Now that could be one of 3 things. I have mentioned this before. So it could be on the setting, it could be on the character, or it could be on dialogue. So these are some potential areas for you to explore and mention in your exam. Secondly, how and why the writer changes this focus as the source develops. So the how is obviously the structural technique. How has the writer used structure to shift the focus? So you need to be able to identify all the structural devices within the insert. And why? So why does the writer shift his focus? What's the specific purpose? You need to explore and tell us why that is. And finally, any other structural features that interest you. So structural features, again, there is a range and you need to be familiar with all of them for Monday's exam. So what I wanted to do is to show you this and break down how to approach the question and also how to answer the question as well. Before we continue, please subscribe, like and share to stay up to date with our latest videos. For question 3, as you can see on structure, you need to identify the focus shifts from the beginning to the middle to the end. So as mentioned in the exam on Monday, you're going to look at how the writer focuses on either number 1, the setting, number 2, the character, number 3, if they use in media res, you may want to focus on that and explore how that interests the reader. And the 4th one I forgot to add is dialogue. So these are the potential focuses at the beginning of the insert, and I can guarantee you it will be one of them on Monday. So start pre-planning, start practicing writing your answers using this formula. Also, look at the shift in focus towards the middle. So is there a shift in setting? Is there a shift in idea? Is there a shift in perspective as well? So is there a perspective change? So this is something that you want to talk about. And towards the end, how does the writer conclude the insert or the text? Do they use a cyclical structure? So these are some things for you to consider. Now, to those of you who are unfamiliar with structural features and structural techniques, I've labeled a few here in red for you to jot down. So they include climax, foreboding, emotive, in media res, analepsis, prolepsis, chronology, dialogue, zooming in, zooming out, and foreshadowing. There's a few more that I wanted to very quickly go over. I didn't write all of them down because of a lack of space, but you can write these down. So they also include patterns, perspective changes, juxtaposition, tense changes, foreshadowing, and the order of events. So linear and non-linear structure as well. So these are some structural techniques that you can explore for question 3. And most importantly, you need to always link back to how we interest the reader. The number of times I've read answers where students forget or completely ignore how we interest the reader. For that reason, they are scoring low marks. So make sure on Monday you are exploring how it interests the reader. Now, in terms of timing, you should spend around 10 to 12 minutes on this question. It is only 8 marks, so you should be working through it quite quickly. So I do have a template here, so in turquoise here, that you can follow. Something so simple but effective in answering the question. So starting off with paragraph 1, the first step, step 1 is to mention what the focus is on the beginning. Step 2, provide a relevant quote. Step 3, explain and identify the structural technique. So that could be any of the ones in red. Step 4 is to further develop your explanation and focus on how it interests the reader. And then you literally copy and paste that, repeat and recycle that step or formula for paragraph 2 and paragraph 3. So as you can see for paragraph 2, so I've written P2, repeat as above, just change number 1 to the writer shifts the focus to, and you explain and tell us what the writer shifts the focus to. So do they shift to the interaction between Alex and his family, or is there a shift in mood? Is there a shift in sort of idea? So these are things that you want to talk about in paragraph 2. So if you're wondering, will there be a shift? Absolutely. So there is always a shift. So that's something for you to talk about towards the middle. Paragraph 3, repeat as above. Just change step 1. So in the initial paragraph here, just change step 1 to the writer towards the end focuses on. You tell us what the writer focuses on at the end. So often they use a cyclical structure. And to be honest, it's something that's often there. So if you can pick that out, you can mention that for your last and final paragraph, and always link back to how it interests the reader. So again, just to wrap up this video, structure is how the text is organized, and you need to look at the focus shifts. What is the focus in the beginning? What is the focus towards the middle? What is the focus towards the end? And each paragraph that you write, you need to support it with a relevant quote and identify any structural devices. And importantly, of course, is tell us how it is interesting to for the reader. So make sure the explanation here is effective and it's detailed as well. So how does it influence readers? So that's something for you to talk about. So in simple terms, you'll have your point. So the writer uses, and then you name the sort of technique or the structural device. And then, of course, after that, your evidence, your reference. And then importantly, tell us the effect of the structural device. What effect does it have? So, for example, this makes us as the reader think of or imagine ... So if it's about Alexander, so the recent insert that we have been looking at, you can say something along the lines of, this makes us as the reader imagine how Alexander is struggling to deal with his mother's illness. His inner thoughts, his inner battles, his inner conflicts is playing a significant role in how he's reacting. And importantly, we see this through the use of dialogue, where he aims or he intends to lash out verbally towards his siblings. And you want to continue that discussion and tell us how that interests the reader. So that, again, is, to be honest, what you need to know for question 3 structure. We are going to continue discussing question 3. I do have a model answer, so you can check out my model answer on my YouTube channel. Do check out the playlist. I believe it says question 3 model answer on the thumbnail as well, and title. So look at that and use this for inspiration. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. Other than that, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like and share for more. Thank you.